Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Tim Shurr, and I am very excited because my friend Erik Swanson is with us, and he is known around the world as Mr. Awesome, and you're going to know why in just a moment. So Erik, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Appreciate being here. Rock and roll. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Yes. And I want you to know that the first thing out of his mind is let's do this. I posted yesterday, do it now. You know, Sir Wallace Wattles, his famous quote that, and he was a billionaire, right? And it was all about do it now, money loves speed, take action. You know, are you going to be a dabbler or are you going to be a doer? And Erik is a doer, which is why I wanted you on the show. So Erik, if you want to share a little bit, standard issue, if you get on my program, you're amazing, right? Best-selling author, traveled the world on the stages with, some of the most amazing people in the world because he's one of the most amazing people in the world. And that's right. And so whenever I meet somebody like that and I'm blown away, I always want to bring them to you and give you the best that there is. And so, Erik, if you want to share just a little bit about you, your background, and your habitudes, we'll talk about that. But anything that you want to share just to kind of let my audience know who exactly you are.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite to saying that. So I got started about 25 years ago with a guy named Brian Tracy, and he's amazing, as I'm sure your audience knows that. And one of the first things that he told me to do was to believe in myself. So I got that, and to diversify myself, to learn from other people, not just love 100% of his teachings, but learn from other people. So I started doing that. And it's amazing, Tim, when you do something like that, how many doors open up, because, the saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. And that's what we do. We go with teams of amazing individuals, influencers, and I speak on stages all over the world. I live in San Diego as well as in the mountains in Utah. And, I write a bunch of books, as you can see back here. I don't know if you see it back here. And I run masterminds and all really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Your work is amazing, and my community is going to love it. And so, all right, wonderful. So, I've been talking a lot about mindset, right, and how important it is. And so many people. I just heard a story the other day, which I want to share it. So, Oprah was sitting in the front row with Tony Robbins, and he asked everybody the question. He says, on a scale of 10 to 0, with 10 being the highest, 0 being the lowest, what would you give yourself when it comes to mindset? What would you rate yourself? And I'm going to ask you that, Erik. What number would you give yourself?
So 10 is high and 1 is low?
Yeah.
Which clearly 10 is high and 1 is low, right? Yeah. So I love it when people ask that. Interesting you ask that. Like, I love the 80-20 rule. The Pareto principle, 80% of the things and 20% of the things, and all the Pareto principle is really cool. And I highlight that in myself as well. My dad always told me back in the day, because, I was born, when I was born, the doctor handed me over. I slapped the doctor and I said, I'm a speaker, a motivational speaker. And he's like, okay, calm down. So my dad was like, look, he told me early on, he's like, you don't have to be 100% on all the time. And I was like, you're right. So I personally like the 80-20. I love being 80% of the time I'm amazing, and 20% of the time, you know what? I'm doing a reset. And it might be, I'd stub my toe. I drop the coffee. I don't drink coffee. I drink tequila. No, just kidding. Green iced tea. But it's these little reminders to let yourself. Here's a reminder right here. So I have a little one of these like green iced tea cups here, and right there I just put a Yeti because I'm awesome, and it says be awesome on it. It's just little tiny reminders. And why did I put it there? Because when I'm always on interviews like this, I can see it. I'm like, oh yeah, be awesome. So the point is, you asked me the question, like, where am I on 1 to 10? I'm not a 10. There's always room for improvement. People ask, like, what's the biggest room in the world? Room for improvement. Right. And it's cheesy, right? But it's so true.
No, I like that one. That's a good one.
I like being an 80% or 80, 90%, and then I reset the rest of the time to re-energize myself to go to the next level. It's like filling up the gas tank, or like Brian Tracy always used to say, you got to pump up your tire before you go on a bike ride.
That's right. Yeah. If you want to get anywhere. So I love that answer. Right. So I'm just going to pull you, an 8 out of there. Right. And so when I was asked this the other day, and this is where I heard the story, and I'm like, oh, I'm a 9. I'm a 9 because there's always room for improvement. Right.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, Oprah gave herself a 3.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
She's a billionaire
I
and
love it.
she's an icon and she's known around the world and she can give a speech and everybody's going to cry. And she gave herself a 3 because she believes that there's that much more room for her to grow with her mindset. And that was so powerful because either our arrogance or our lack of awareness, lack of self-awareness really messes with us. Because I mean, the people that I know, and I'm sure you meet people too, that are really successful, they are always about mindset. They're always about learning. They're always about growing. And then I'll work with someone who's struggling, who's having a hard time, who's barely, trying to get to 6 figures. And they're like, no, my mindset's great. My mindset's awesome. I don't need any more work with my mindset and my beliefs. I need new funnel strategies. I need new Facebook advertising. I need a VA, and they think it's the tactics that they're always missing. And so, it really humbled me. And I'm like, oh, I'm at a 9. I'm like, maybe I should lower that a little bit. And
let's all go down to 3 now. Let's just
3. But look at all the opportunity ahead of us. If I'm at a 9, there's not much growth left, right?
Right.
If I'm at a 3, I got the rest of my life to shine.
Yeah, so, I'm just gonna go take a nap. I'm at a 3.
So tell me a little bit about some of your best work, which is your habitudes. What is that, habits and attitudes? So tell us a little bit about habitudes.
Yeah, without a doubt. By the way, I'm sharing this right now. That's why you see me on a different computer. Oh, here's a habitude. Everyone should have 2 or 3 computers, one to be interviewed on at all times, another one to work on. Okay. So Habitude Warrior. So I started Habitude years ago. I was actually at a Brian Tracy event back in Houston, and I worked for Brian for 8 or 9 years, and became a senior trainer with him, and it's just amazing. And this gentleman was up on stage, not Brian, but actually, I'm sorry, Brian was up on stage. Another gentleman was in the back of the ballroom, and he calls me over. He goes, here, come here, son. I said, yes, sir. And he goes, what are you doing with Brian? I said, well, I'm one of the senior trainers. I'm motivated. I run the whole attitude of awesomeness here. What are you talking about? It's amazing. I run all the sales and I staff the events. He goes, He goes, what do you really want to do? And he asked me that question, which I thought was an amazing question. So I went away, I came back, and I got scared because who he was. And I ran away again, and I came back again. And I said, I figured it out. I said, Mr. Rohn, Jim Rohn, I figured it out. I want to help people, including myself, with my habits and attitude. That's what I want to help people with. And he says, you should put that together. So I did. I literally put the word together, and it became Habitudes. And that was because of Jim Rohn and my conversation, Jim Rohn and I, years ago. And then he passed away about a year later. But now it still holds true today. We run a lot of masterminds and book collaborations, and everything's on habits and attitude. And the reason why is because that's where it all starts. I was just on an interview this morning, and they were talking about one of our book series called The Principles of David and Goliath. And the subtitle is Mindset and Belief Systems, which is attitude. It's all of your habits and attitude. Nothing can happen until your attitude is in check, right? And there's a saying out there that people say, well, some people allow people to rent space in your mind, and you don't even charge them rent for it. So you got to be careful of allowing these weeds to get into your mindset. And that's why the 80-20, I figure, look, 20% is coming in, but I'm gonna exude my 80% of awesomeness, and that will supersede any negativity.
So were you always, you said you came right out of your mom and we were motivating. So
slap the doctor right across the head.
I'm sure you have worked on yourself to be able to get to that level. And so, a lot of people are like, well, you're just born that way, Erik. Nope. You're just born, inspirational and Mr. Awesome and stuff like that. I'm not like that. I don't have that. I'm full of negative thoughts. I'm always worried that things aren't going to work out for me. And so, and they think that it's just, it's your personality that makes you this way. And they don't realize all the hard work that you've put into, getting yourself to play at this level. So how do you help people address those fears and overcome some of those fears that they have?
Yeah, I love what you just said, Tim. So it's it's a series of questions that you ask yourself and your thought pattern, your mindset. Right? We can all have anxiety about something, anything. Right? I could be anxious of I'm in the mountains in Park City. Just in case you don't know, I've got a name tag, Park City. So I'm in the mountains of Park City, and the Wi-Fi might go out. The lights might go out. It's literally, well, it's 104 in my jacuzzi, but it's 4 degrees outside my jacuzzi. Okay, so there's a little bit of a contrast. So the point is, I could worry about anything, but 80%, 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the things you worry about aren't going to happen, and the other 20% you don't have any control over. So why not have control over your life and enjoy it now? So it's a series for me and for my clients and students. It's a series of questioning, a series of questions for yourself. All right. If then this, then that. All right. So you could say that in a negative way. Now, if I say that again, you're probably thinking right now, even a hypnotist, oh my gosh, you're probably thinking this. By the way, don't say sleep. Okay. So you're probably thinking, if this, then that, is kind of a negative. If this happens, then that's going to happen. I look at it as a positive. If this, meaning, a thought's going to come into my mindset, but I'm not going to dwell on it because I'm going to do what I call staying in the pocket. Right? We just had Super Bowl yesterday. The wrong team won, but whatever. So the Super Bowl was yesterday. And the point is, though, stay in the pocket. Right? You've got Patrick Mahomes. What's he do? He runs, but other quarterbacks normally stay in the pocket because it's safe. It's a safe environment. Stop going outside of your pocket and not following your true self. So what I always do, and I teach my students this, is if you believe in yourself, truly believe in yourself. I have little reminders everywhere. I showed you this earlier, I think. Believe. Literally have belief system in yourself and remind yourself. It's a series of reminders. Then you're going to be more successful. All right. And anything you do. And it starts with, as you do the big things, as you do the small things. Right. So it starts with the small things, the everyday things. Like this morning, what did you do? I went fat biking. Not because I'm fat, because there's fat tires. Okay. Fat tire biking. I forgot the tire part, but I went fat tire biking today in the snow. Just for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, right around my house, my property here. So what are you doing on a daily basis that's going to accelerate your success? I don't know if that answered your question. I'm from Washington, D.C. Was that the question?
Let me break it down because I liked it. So yes, it was very good. So let's break this down. First of all, you control 80% of what you worry about never happens, which is a huge chunk. And the 20% that does, you'll handle it. Because think about everything you've ever been through in your life. And if you're watching this right now, then you have handled it, right? And you will continue to handle it because that's what we do. The second thing you said was most quarterbacks stay in the pocket where it's safe. Patrick Mahomes, he runs, he gets out of the pocket, he gets out of his comfort zone. He won the Super Bowl. Okay. And then the third thing that you said that I really liked was that, I knew I should have wrote it down, but I was too busy listening to you waiting for the next joke. They keep going. Is that you have to, what was it? It was the Super Bowl and it was anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was that it was that you said, if this, then, how did you say it? What was the phrase?
If this, then that. Okay. And I'm going to write a book about that. If this, then that. It's an equation. Look, it's a binary code equation. All right. You seem very smarter than me. So I just said very smarter than me. That's good grammar. But the point is, by the way, I'm going to hit a pause and time out and say this. It's having fun as well. Like, have you noticed you've been laughing and smiling and having a great time just with me on the phone here with 15 minutes or 10 minutes? It's because I do these things as I do. Like, I'll go downstairs to let's say I'm going to make a sandwich in the kitchen. I'm having a great time doing it. Right? I'm making fun of things. I'm taking the mayonnaise and throwing it against. I'm not throwing the mayonnaise against the wall. But the point is, though, find little things that help you do really cool things. I want to create how elevator pitches are very important for people. Elevator speech. I want to create a seminar, a workshop, a retreat, only in an elevator, up and down. We'll just go up and down, and we're going to teach them how to do the elevator. We'll have live, beta testers coming in every floor. It'll be great. So I guess the point is, though, have fun doing it, but be in charge of yourself. Like 80% of the things that you worry about, the statement was this: 80% of the things you worry about don't usually happen. The other 20% you don't have any control over. So you have control over your mindset. There's two things you have control over, right? Your time and your mindset. And that's it. Just decide, make a decision to be in charge of you and your mindset. And that's what you do with the hypnosis. It's amazing, what you guys do. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we're upgrading. There's the mindset is really the story you're telling yourself all day long, right? In your head, and the questions you ask yourself. And that's what I think of mindset. And then what I do is upgrade the beliefs that drive the story, and so that's the work that I'm doing with the neuro shifting, is just upgrading those beliefs that are driving those fear-based stories. So I love that you
neuro shifting. Wow. I love it. I love it. You're just shifting those neuro pathways to where you want to go rather than where you don't want to go. And what do people do, right? What do people do, Tim? We say, oh, I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to go down that road. I'll get stuck down that road. And what happens? You go down that road because you're conscious and look, you and I are speaking the same language, English. So the point is, that's a good one. The point is, what I do is I always try to get my subconscious mind in congruency with my conscious mind at all times. And once you have that, you have what Brian used to call laser focus.
Yes. Yeah. It's brilliant. I tell people all the time, the more fun you have, the more successful you will be. And you are the poster child for having fun, right? Which is why you're so successful and why I'm more successful now, because we're hanging out together and I'm absorbing your awesomeness. There is a reason that the brilliant Les Brown said, you are Mr. Awesome. And it's because you're always looking for ways to make it fun, to make people feel good, to laugh, because one of the fastest ways to break a fear is with humor. And you are a master of it. Right? You're just a master of being able to help people to feel, because when you laugh, you feel safe, you're breathing. So many times we forget to breathe. I'll be having conversations with my wife about some stressful thing that's going on. And I'm like, we just got to keep breathing. And she's like, oh my God, when you said breathe, I actually took one. I'm like, I didn't realize I was sitting there holding my breath. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, me too.
Tim, I have something called, by the way, my one of my colleagues has the same exact fireplace and doorway that you have. This is amazing. So I have something called Breathe 33 and it's amazing. Breathe33.com. Go check it out. I don't know what's on there, but go check it out. But the point is, though, it's breathing in for 3 seconds and holding it for 3 seconds and breathing out for 3 seconds. And I just call it Breathe 33. And you know where I learned it? I mean, I learned it years ago. Wayne Dyer taught me this when I was 17, going off a breakup, my first true love, right? That's when I learned it first. But now, you know who teaches it to me every day? My dogs. My 2 dogs, Samuel and Lewis, and they're boxers. They're amazing dogs. And you know what they do? Every morning and every afternoon when they're sleeping, and every night they do this. They go, they do that. They reset. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they do it, but they do that. And it reminds me to reset. Breathe 33.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah. I spent the last couple of days in a room with a couple of bulldogs. And they're just, but I have that in my head too. Breathe. Yeah, that's very good. Let's go back real quick to that questioning of, if that, then this. And a lot of people will say, well, what if this happens? And usually what you say, what you said, yeah, if this, then that, if this, then that, what if this happens? Then that's going to, what if I don't make any money? Then I'm not going to be able to pay my bills.
Okay. So time out for a second. So time out. If somebody says, if this, I'm not making any money. Great. You say, then that means you change your neuro pathways and you say, oh, good. I'm not making any money with this. That's good. That's great. I always say, that's great. Like Tony the Tiger, right? That's great. And they're like, what do you mean that's great? And I'll say, that's great because now I realize one way not to market that, one main way that's not going to be successful. So I say, let's reframe this and let's look at a different marketing strategy for this. So it saves, did it make me money? Yeah, because it made me time. It gave me time back.
Yes. All right. So there it is then. I'm trying to figure out what's the tool that you were using. And so if we start to go down that path and the pattern interrupt is, hey, that's great, or that's great, if you want to be like Tony. And so Tony the Tiger. And so then it causes you to think about it in a different way. If I'm not making money, why ain't I making money? Why aren't I doing that? And what could I be doing that's different? And maybe who do I need to reach out to for support or help? I mean, that's why you have masterminds, right? Napoleon Hill said all the most successful people were a part of a mastermind. That's really the only thing they had in common besides a great attitude. And so, and that's
This
probably
book
why
is
we
amazing.
got
This
together.
book is amazing right here. Have you seen this book right here? This
Pull
book?
it down a
Here,
little
let me
bit.
show it to you. Here, I'll pull it down.
Oh yeah, that's tiny.
Let me put it back. There you go. So, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is given to me by Don Green. He's the president of Napoleon Hill. You might not have one of these. I have a pin that goes on my suit jacket. Oh,
Nice.
yeah. But yeah, if this then that. A lot of I used to teach a lot of salespeople. Nowadays, I just teach people on attitude and habits because sales is part of it. But if you think about it, like people are like, they'll give you an objection. Let's say you're trying to offer them something, right? And they'll give you an objection. Oh, I don't have any money, or I can't afford that, or no, I think I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
I'll say, great, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And they're like, what? And it always gives you an opportunity to think about what you're going to say next. And then I'll say something like this. I'm so glad that you said that, because most of my clients that I first met with them, they said the very first thing they said to me was the very same thing that you said to me right now. And they're like, wait, really? Oh yeah. 90% of my top clients said exactly the same thing you said. They said it costs too much. I can't afford it. I'm not an expert. I don't know if I can do it. They said all the same things that you said. But you know what they found after working with us? They found that, yes, they can do it. They can afford it. It super exceeds what their expectations are, and they are super successful because of it. And they're like, good point. So you're flipping it into an objection handler rather than just taking the objection and saying, oh, you're right. We are too expensive. Goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. I remember a million years ago when I was selling vacuum cleaners, home cleaning systems, of course.
Yeah.
They were. And I would get out of my car and pull out this big vacuum cleaner box, and someone would lean out the door. And every time someone leaned out the door and said, you can come in, but I ain't buying, I'm like, yes.
They would buy. Yeah.
It was a full voter, right? I was going to make my big $300 commission, which was a lot of money for me, right?
Was that Kirby? What was it back then?
Yeah, it was the TriStar Pig.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I want to be the dirt guy. The dirt guy that just throws the dirt in the floor and that's it.
I did. I walked in and I dumped a giant bag of sand right in the middle of the living room, because then I had to clean it up. And so when I cleaned it up, I went through my pitch, right? And showed them. And it was brilliant too, because the product was actually awesome. Is I would take their vacuum cleaner and I would have a filter on it above the bag. And then I would vacuum their living room or vacuum a hallway. And then I would open it up, and a big pile of hair, especially if they had dogs or cats, big pile of hair would be caught in there. Right. And wait, no, I did this like 30 years ago. So I had to remember. So I would vacuum the hallway or the living room with their vacuum.
Oh, I see.
Then I would use the new one that I brought in, the filter, vacuum it up, open it up in a giant pile of hair. And it showed that they were using tools that were not effective, even though they thought they were. And that this vacuum cleaner was actually way more effective in getting the job done. And so when they actually bought, it was something that was so good for them.
Yeah.
Not always, but a lot of when you're doing selling, it's really serving. You got to talk people into doing something that's going to be so good for them.
Right.
People are so afraid. The internet is so full of people who are liars, right? And then are just selling and they're not serving. And so people are afraid of getting ripped off. They're afraid of getting burned. They're afraid of being taken advantage of and then feeling shame or humiliation because they got burned. And so now all of a sudden it causes people to hold off when they should be, when it comes to your mindset, they should be always moving forward, because it is your greatest advantage.
Totally agree. If I were in that position with, let's say the vacuum cleaners, what I would do is I would take a dollar bill or, $5 bill, whatever. I would actually, don't tell anyone, don't tell the government, but I would cut it up into like 50 pieces, like just the dollar bill, 50, 60, 100 pieces. And then I would take that, I'd put it in the vacuum cleaner, right? I'd be like, and then I'd show them, I go, look, this is what you're wasting. And then I pull out a real dollar bill or $100 bill and be like, this is what you could be saving by having this, right? So you're picking up the pieces, because they're just dropping money on the floor, by using their old vacuum rather than this new one.
So that's brilliant. That's brilliant, Erik. So being there for being a hypnotist for so many years, when I first started out, everybody wanted me to help them lose weight and stop smoking. And
I wanted the opposite. I wanted to gain smoking and I wanted to gain a lot of weight. I wanted both and drink coffee. I want a vice. I need something.
You need something. Yeah. And so I would ask them, or they would just sit there on the phone and tell me how expensive my, I don't know what it was, $500 program was. And they were dropping $2,000 on cigarettes, you know, and their logic to it was, but I only spend $5 a day. You want $500. And I'm like, you don't have to pay me $500. You just give me $5 a day for the next year, like you do with your cigarettes, right? And then that'll be fine. And then they're all of a sudden, well, wait a second, right? And so people will sacrifice thousands of dollars to save hundreds.
Yeah,
people do it all the time, and they
look
realize it.
Yeah, look at entrepreneurs. What do? We quit our 50 hour, 60 hour a week to work 100 hours a week for no pay.
Yeah. We want to get rid of a boss, and then we end up with ourselves and are like, whoa. However, of course, entrepreneurs make the most amount of money in the whole entire world, right? Especially if they're good with serving, you know, and sales. And that's what makes you so good, right? So how did you end up becoming a trainer for Brian Tracy? And then after you answer that, let me know what you've got going on and how our community can learn more about you.
Sure. So Brian Tracy and his team came in for dinner one time in a place called Mezzaluna in Austin, Texas. This is back in 1997. And so they came in and they were asking some questions. They noticed that I was an amazing waiter, server. I was a server and waiter. Server, right? Like you just said, right? Selling, serving. And what I would do is I would go up to every table. This is how by the way, if you're a waiter or a server, this is what you want to do. You go up to every table. You don't say any words. All you do is you count the number of people that are in the table. Okay. And then you do this. You go like this. You go, let's say it's an 8 top. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you go 8 tequila shots coming right up. And you'll always have one person that's paying the bill go, yeah, bring it. We're good. Yeah, bring it. And I go, really? And you go, yep. All right, be right back. I come back, 8 tequila shots. There's an $80, $100 bill already. There's $20 tip for me already. We're just saying one little statement. That was it. That's all I did. So I made tons of money. Like my managers are so upset at me waiting tables because I made way more than they did. Okay. And it's just because of the attitude. That was it. If you think about it, had nothing to do with the tequila. They hadn't even seen the tequila yet. Didn't even see the cups or something. Didn't even look at the menu. I didn't even say my name. I hate it when people say, "Hi, my name's so-and-so and I'm here to help you out." They already know that. All I did was one statement, and without seeing anything, already I made a certain amount of money. And that's just because of attitude. That's it. All it is, and that's what Brian Tracy talks about. I'm pointing to one of his books. He just co-wrote a book with me called David and Goliath. So the point is, though, it's what Brian defines selling as is a transfer of enthusiasm. That's all selling is. All selling is yes, there's this product. It's going to come from me to you, and I'm going to transfer this enthusiasm over to you. That's what selling is. So I forgot what the question was, but started with Brian Tracy. That's right. And I was waiting tables, and one of his managers said to me that day, he's like, "Hey, we're looking for some really cool people who like to travel and like to make a lot of money and like to learn from gurus like Brian Tracy. I mean, we're looking for that. If you know anyone of your friends, let us know. Here's our card." And I thought about it for like the weekend. And then I looked at the card. I was like, I'm going to call them. And I called them the next day, on Monday. And I said, "What about me?" And they go, "Oh, we didn't think about you." They were kidding. They obviously prospected me this way. And that's how I got a job with Brian Tracy. And awesome. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is exactly right. I'm always watching for people and how they take care of other people and their attitude, because you can teach skills. Teaching that attitude is much more challenging. And so when you find somebody that has it, then you can teach them the skills. And that's obviously what happened for you, and it transformed your life. And now you're transforming the lives of millions of people, which is very exciting. So, so how can people learn more about you, Erik?
Follow me. Just like literally, here's my address. Just kidding.
In Utah. I'll meet you in the hot tub.
Park City. That's it. Black Diamonds. Let's see. You can follow me. I think everything is on Mr. Awesome Swanson. So you can go there. Let's see, my Facebook, my LinkedIn. You know what? An easy way to go. Go to decidetobeawesome.com. decidetobeawesome.com. There's a bunch of links there. You can follow me anywhere there. We have a new book series coming up, which is amazing. It's 4 books. You should be in it, Tim, actually. It is a pay to play, but really cool. We only take 33 authors. That's fun to do. So we take 33 authors and we have 13 celebrities. And what we do is we have 4 books. It's called the Book of Mentors. We have a few spots left. And what you will be doing is writing 1 chapter. You'll become a #1 bestseller, not once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. 4-time #1 bestseller with us in our book series that's back here somewhere. And what's cool about it is book 1 is geared towards honoring a legacy legend, Zig Ziglar. Book 2 is on Bob Proctor. Book 3 is Wayne Dyer. And book 4 is Jim Rohn. And book 5 is Tim Shurr. No, just kidding. We only have 4 books.
Erik Swanson.
Yeah, I'm in all 4 books. So it's not about me. It's about honoring these mentors that we learn from so that we can teach the world. So the reader will come out of this saying, wow, I learned from all these individuals and what they learned from these legacy legends. I'm going to be a mentor to the world as well.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome to be a part of that experience. Very good. So I'll make sure that all the links are in there.
Awesome.
And yeah, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for doing that. And Erik, wow, how much fun are you? So much.
I'm a lot of fun. I follow me everywhere.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much for being with us today and for all that you do and making this world a brighter and happier, more, I don't know how to say it, funnier place to live in.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you. And awesome, guys. And if you're listening to this, ready? Sleep. I love that joke. Why do I love that joke so much? There you go. I did it finally.
Yes. I like the part that comes after it. Awake.
Yes. Awaken.
Awaken.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Erik. Talk to everybody soon. Bye.